If you're looking for the perfect springtime weekend escape, then look no further than the enchanting Texas Hill Country. Amy and I spent the weekend staying at our friend's luxury camping retreat so we could take you on a virtual journey through the rolling hills, quaint towns, mouth-watering barbecue, trickling waterfalls, and fields of vibrant wildflowers. Join us as we explore the captivating charm and natural beauty of the Texas Hill Country in the spring, and let us know what you think in the comments. As we headed out of Austin, blue bonnets started to pop up along the side of the road, which is one of the reasons why it's awesome to do this road trip between the end of March and early April. First stop in Hill Country, Hamilton Pools, which is about a quarter mile to hike down to the waterfall. Hamilton Pool is a beautiful area and a popular swimming hole that Texas residents have been coming to for decades. While it is only a quarter of a mile to hike down to the pools, it is steep with uneven rock, so if you're not sure on your footing, be careful when you go down there. Along the way, there's numbers and plaques that tell you about the preserve and the different vegetation. Note that a reservation is required to visit here, and it often books up well in advance, so be sure you check when you know the dates that you're going to go. Arriving to the pool is stunning, and it's one of the most beautiful views in the Texas Hill Country. Because of rockfall that's been frequent from a storm that damaged the area a few years ago, the entire back part of the grotto is closed. There's actually only a pretty small section of swimming and beach that's open to visitors. Also, the waterfall was basically dry when we got there, but there were a few drips coming down and it was still beautiful to see. Even with the closures, I would still recommend getting a reservation and visiting Hamilton Pool. It's a stunning area, and hopefully the waterfall is flowing more when you're there. Now we got about a 45-minute drive to Driftwood, where we can get some barbecue. This is a little bit of a roundabout way to do the drive, but we had a specific timed entry at Hamilton Pool, and so it worked out to go there before we went to lunch. Check it out, Doctor Who is here in the TARDIS for the ribs. The Salt Lick is a loved barbecue restaurant that has been here for over 50 years and is known for its open barbecue pit that you can see right when you walk in the restaurant.
It's a lot of meat.
After I ordered my sampler plate, I basically sat here and watched them just cook the meat for a good 15 minutes. It's really impressive to see, and it's awesome that they're still cooking over an open fire like this. Amy's going big with that pulled pork sandwich right there.
Look at that thing.
And I did the sampler plate, which includes ribs, sausage, and brisket, and then each of the sides, so you get to try everything. All right, let's see if Amy can even take a bite of her sandwich.
Oh,
Look at that thing.
I got this. I'm very happy with that.
That is a good kind of brisket. A little more chewy, but it has a huge smoky flavor. Really, really smoky. Yeah, I like that. It's very good. I would say this is a very good spot for barbecue. Everything is fantastic. It's definitely an interesting spot, as it feels kind of like a diner with wait service, but which has great barbecue. Also, it's BYOB as well. We got here at the right time. We only had to wait for like 2 minutes, and there's probably 50 people waiting now, so get here when they open. From there, we headed 10 minutes up the road to a distillery called Desert Door.
Desert Door behind me makes a spirit called Sotal. It's the only place in the United States that makes it, so we're gonna go check it out.
Sotal is a spirit made from the plant of the same name, which is grown all throughout western Texas and Mexico. Desert Door doesn't farm or grow the plant, they actually wild harvest it from different ranches, and there are 3 different types of Sotal to try when we were there, with the first being one that can be made from plant to glass in about a week. The second took that same spirit and then aged it for over a year in oak barrels. The last one was a distillery-only varietal that was made by aging the Sotal in other different types of barrels.
That's so interesting.
Amy and I both tolerated/enjoyed the first one, but we loved the oak-aged one. Plus, this is an incredibly beautiful property, and the people there were awesome and super friendly. They said they were even voted one of the best craft cocktail places, and they have probably a dozen different cocktails you can get.
Yeah, we liked it. Check out the oak-aged one.
The Texas Hill Country has more breweries, wineries, and distilleries than you can count, so we decided to try another one before we continued on.
So we're not traditionally vodka people, but we got these free drink coupons at Cosmic Coffee yesterday, so we figured why not come try it out, and we know it's a popular, awesome spot.
Deep Eddy was named after the oldest swimming hole in Austin, and it's a place where you can go to get flavored vodkas.
Ooh, refreshing.
And very sweet.
It's very sweet, but good.
The place is massive, so it must be popular on the weekends, and even though this is not the type of thing Amy and I normally drink, we still found it pretty good. If you want sweet drinks, that's the place for you. We're heading on because after some drinks, hiking sounds like the best option. Before going hiking, I did want to provide a coffee recommendation as well. If you want to skip vodka and Sotol, get some coffee. Zama Coffee is a popular spot in Dripping Springs, and they make great drinks. They also have a cute goat in their logo and a fun outdoor seating area. From there is about 20 minutes to our next stop at Pedernales Falls State Park. The park greeted us with bluebonnet flowers right near the sign and at the entrance station. This park does have an entrance fee that's per person, so know that if you're going to go hike here. We are up here, and we're going to head out on the trail just over to here. Made it to the state park. I wish that coffee would have woken me up a little bit more. We're heading out on about a half-mile round-trip trail to see a waterfall and back. Even though it was late March when we went, it was still pretty hot to visit this park. I imagine during the summer when the humidity is roaring, this is a place you only want to hike in the early morning. Plus, this trail leads to water, but you're not allowed to swim in the water here. I believe there are other parts of the park where you can swim, but you'll have to double check that. Even though the water level was low, the ranger did say that it never dries up because there are underground springs that feed it.
I want to jump in so bad.
The undertow will get you.
I will, but man, it looks nice.
It was beautiful, and you could even see fish swimming in it. It was so clear. The waterfall here is more of a cascade, but regardless, there wasn't much water flowing through it, just a trickle. It's amazing right now for photos because look at those clouds up there too. Clear water and the beautiful clouds. This really is a beautiful spot. Clear water, just beautiful scenery. Definitely don't miss this when you're in the hill country. After exploring for a little longer, we headed back up to complete the loop trail with a stop at the second overlook. I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with this state park. What do you think?
It's amazing. Totally unexpected. The water is awesome.
It's a nice overview for only a half mile. Now we're heading on to Johnson City to Walden Retreats Hill Country. We're going to spend it the next 2 nights. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. All the way there were patches of blue bonnets right alongside the road. I can't overstate how beautiful of a time this is to be in this part of Texas. The drive to Walden is a rugged one as it's about 15 minutes off of the main road. When you get there, you'll be greeted with a sign and a famous quote from Walden by Henry David Thoreau. The property itself features 15 luxury cabins situated above the Pedernales River. It's an awesome experience from the moment you're greeted on a Friday afternoon with a welcome cocktail. Alright, so we're at our home base for the next few days, Walden Retreats. Let's go check it out.
Come on.
This is a glamping resort in the Texas Hill Country, so that is the Texas Hill Country out there. And then this is our spot.
Has air conditioning and heat.
Those views, you can open or close them.
And then you have a full table and a kitchen to cook.
Clawfoot bathtub, why not?
Our own bathroom. And then I'll show you something I'm really excited about.
There's an outdoor shower. Pretty awesome.
This is actually the really exciting part. Our view.
What's really cool about this spot is that this was my high school friend and her husband who created these. Amy and I actually came here when they were flattening the ground about 6 years ago. To see it finally come to life is just awesome. Since it was already late in the day, we decided to explore the property a little bit more. Check it out, it's Friday night happy hour, so there's a fire going and there's s'mores. I got my s'more. I'm gonna walk down the water. It hurts a little bit steep, so I wanted to get some sugar in me. One of the benefits of staying here is the nice trail that they have down to the river. It was especially beautiful this time of year as there were so many blue bonnets that were lining the trail. I was blown away as this was one of the best fields I had seen during my entire time in Texas here. Check out this view with the sun going down. I haven't even made it to the bottom. I'm gonna walk down to the water over there, but this is pretty incredible. If you do happen to stay here, note that the final push down to the water is very steep. There's even a rope there to help you to pull yourself up on the way back out. The riverbank was stunning and I had the whole place to myself. I think people use this for canoeing, fishing, and even swimming, but it was late in the day, so all I did was take some pictures. The water level's pretty low right now, but I have to say this is nice. I'm gonna start the walk back up though because it's super steep. Get up there, hopefully before sunset, get some dinner. Amy volunteered to get dinner at Pecan Street Brewing Company, which was about 15 minutes from where we were staying, and then brought it back for us all to eat dinner together. Amy coming through in the clutch with whatever this chicken asparagus monstrosity is.
A bacon jam burger.
Nice.
Plain.
Pecan Street is a great place for dinner if you're staying in Johnson City or if you forgot to bring your own food to cook like us. The rest of the night just consisted of eating s'mores and sitting out by the large communal fireplace that overlooked the view. I even set up an iPhone time-lapse to capture it, and it's not great, but you can imagine how good the sunset was here. After hanging out by the fire, taking some night pictures, that's the end of our first day in Hill Country. Tomorrow we're going to explore the Fredericksburg area, and so we will see you then. It's hard to pull myself away from just sitting there drinking coffee with this view, but we're going to go explore some more of the Hill Country. From Walden, it was about a 45-minute drive to Fredericksburg, which is basically the center of the Texas Hill Country. Made it to Fredericksburg, coffee and a pastry. We stopped at Twisted Sister's Bake Shop to grab some pastries and a coffee. This is an awesome place for pastries. They have a ton of fun options. So each of these sleeves have a funny saying on them. Mine says, "Don't touch me, peasant." What is yours saying?
This size matters. No one wants a small cup of coffee.
It's pretty awesome. From there, it's about 20 minutes north to Enchanted Rock State Natural Area. This is a well-loved spot for hiking in the Texas Hill Country as it leads to the top of a big rock that has great views of the surrounding landscape. Heading out on the trail up to the top of Enchanted Rock. Amy's foot was giving her some problems, so she decided to stay in the car. I'm doing the short hike. If you decide to come hike out here, be sure to get reservations in advance. They often sell out on the weekends weeks in advance, and you'll get turned away if you drive out without one. Unfortunately, there were a lot of people that were getting turned away on the day we went to the park. This trail is less than a 1.5 mile round trip, but don't let that fool you. It's a tough climb to the top with over 400 feet of elevation in a very short period of time. Basically, once you leave the dirt path, you'll be on a steep rock and you'll have to climb that all the way to the top. There were tons of people doing it, and if you take your time, you should be fine, but it is more challenging than you would think, and there's no shade, so I would not do this in the heat of the summer. One more push to the summit. This is certainly a steep one. Almost there. Once you make it to the top, you'll be standing on a 425-foot pink granite monolith. Made it to the summit of Enchanted Rock. It's windy, but the views are amazing. From the top, you're greeted by 360-degree views of the landscape stretching out to the distance. One of the things about the Texas Hill Country is that it's relatively flat, so being 425 feet above it allows you to really see a lot of it. That was a tough hike, it was steep, but the views at the top were amazing. Heading back down, meet up with Amy and get some lunch. From Enchanted Rock, it was back into Fredericksburg to explore the city a little bit and to get lunch at Vaudeville. Note that Fredericksburg brings a lot of people out on the weekends, and so it was actually pretty hard to find parking and to navigate around the city on a Saturday. Vaudeville is a fun spot with a bistro on the bottom floor and then a boutique and an art gallery above it. So this right here is Amy's favorite food, basically, burrata.
Love burrata. Always a good idea.
We got the burrata salad and then we split the turkey sandwich, and it was a great spot for lunch. After lunch, be sure to walk the store upstairs. It's not my style, but it was still pretty cool to see. After lunch, I headed to the National Museum of the Pacific War, and Amy explored the town to do some shopping. You may be asking why this famous museum is housed in Fredericksburg in the middle of Texas, and that's because it was the boyhood home of Admiral Chester Nimitz. One of the museums included with admission is the Nimitz Museum, which is inside of the Nimitz Hotel. You can see lots of information about the famous admiral's life and time serving all inside of the museum. After that, head into the main exhibit gallery, which has got to be one of the best war museums I have ever seen. There's so much information to dive into, so many interactive exhibits, it's definitely a place you don't want to rush through. The museum basically traces the entire history of the conflict and goes through all of the major battles with impressive detail. Starting with the immersive submarine display about Pearl Harbor and ending with the nuclear bomb, it's one of those museums you're never going to forget. Honestly, I can't say enough good things about this museum, and if you're anywhere near the Texas Hill Country, you have to see it. I wish I would have planned a good 3 to 4 hours to explore and to really read about everything, but I definitely plan to go back in the future. We're leaving Fredericksburg, and pro tip, if you come on the weekend, come early because it's very busy down there. Before leaving Fredericksburg, we made a short excursion down to Doss Peach House. This farmstead is home to Fisher & Weezer Specialty Foods, which makes over 150 different types of jams and jellies with local produce from around the area. The historic building that sits here was built in the heart of Fredericksburg for Lone Star Brewing in the early 1900s. It was eventually moved to the farmstead in 1974, and it's now the shop for all of the different products that they sell. Once you get the food that you want, you can walk out to the back where they have a nice little lake with lots of seating all around it. It's a great place for families or couples to hang out on the weekend, and we had a lot of fun just sitting here and relaxing. All right, so we got the peach cobbler and the peach cider. Which one are you trying first?
I got my spoon ready, so cobbler. There's so much cinnamon on that, and I approve.
Yeah, you're a fan?
Yeah, it's good.
All right, my turn. I'm going with the peach cider made with peaches from the orchard, which is right over there. It's very sweet, really strong peach flavor. I wouldn't drink it all the time, but I would say it's very good. I wasn't planning on going there, but that was a really fun historic spot, so definitely see it when you're in Fredericksburg. One more thing, and then we're heading back to Walden. I was only planning on visiting one more spot, but when I saw a field of bluebonnets on the side of the road, I turned around and went back to Wild Seed Farms. Apparently this is the largest wildflower grower in the country. They grow them to get the seeds, but it's beautiful this time of year. There were people everywhere at this stop, but rightfully so. It was incredible to see all of the blooms they had surrounding the property. They have a large store where you can purchase wildflowers or purchase seeds if you want to plant them yourself. Plus there's a walking trail in the back that allows you to walk along the different fields they have planted of the individual flowers. This is a pretty cool time to be in the hill country, as these only bloom from mid-May to late April, so about a month and a half out of the year, and they're beautiful. I was told that the bluebonnet field was coming down and that it was best a few weeks before we arrived, but the red corn poppy field was still stunning with red flowers as far as you could see. After walking around for a little while, we went to our last stop before heading back to Walden.
Our last stop is a winery that supposedly has a Rhino at it.
Well, there's Blake the Rhino right next to the Rhino-ry winery. Before I came out here, I had no idea that there was an actual place in the United States where you could drink wine and look at a rhino. Luckily, the winery comes with a unique story that's all about rhino conservation. I'll leave a link to their story in the description if you're interested in learning more about how they support rhino conservation with their winery. Have you ever wine tasted with a rhino before?
Can't say I have until right now. Oh my gosh.
You can do a wine tasting here if you book it in advance, or you can just grab a glass of wine and sit at the picnic benches which overlook the rhino area. Amy's too short to see the rhino, the pole's right in the way. We said our goodbyes to Blake the Rhino and made the 20-minute drive back to Walden Retreats. We're heading to an event called the Supper Club. It happens once a quarter. They bring a chef out from Austin, cook out here. You can buy tickets online even if you're not staying here. And it's gonna be a 4-course meal with wine pairings and stuff. I think it's gonna be a nice way to end our Texas Hill Country weekend.
I'm really looking forward to it.
This is a living wall. Every plant on this wall is actually alive, and that is pretty cool. And then this is where we're gonna have dinner tonight.
Probably the prettiest dinner I've been to in a long time.
Supper Club was one of the main reasons why we wanted to come out here on this specific date, as we wanted to support our friends and be able to see this awesome event that they created. They had local beer from Vista Brewing and local wine from Lost Draw Winery. Both of them were incredible, and it was fun to be able to sit and talk with the owners about their creations. One of the highlights though was watching Chef Layla, who created a seafood paella on the open flame with the awesome sunset and river view behind it. The paella just came out and I'm hungry, but I mean, look at this sunset. This is pretty hard to beat. I mean, California sunsets are pretty incredible, but I mean, this ain't bad. It's not bad. Our night is winding down, but Amy's still got dessert, she's still got some wine, and the sun is just about set.
It's a great evening.
We're back after our supper club at Walden. Hopefully you enjoyed coming on this Texas Hill Country weekend with us. Let us know what your favorite spot was in the comments, and you can see links to all the places we went in the description. We will see you on the next video.